Hello friends, good evening. We are going live with Glenn and Sandy as every Thursday is happening. So how do we lose control, gaining control? Of course, we lose what isn't longer serving us and we gain control, the control we need along practices that we follow physically and mindfully. So it's very important to understand that's the main process of any practice and ritual we decide to follow. Ciao Sandina, so nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Good morning, everybody. Hello.
Hi, you guys. Hi.
Hi.
Francesca, I love the necklaces. Is that two necklaces or one?
Two.
It's so pretty. It's just really magnificent. And I love what you said when you started. You said we're going to talk about control today. That's an amazing topic. I never know what we're doing. So I'm not surprised. Control is a great topic. Good.
Yeah. Today,
by losing control, is that what you said?
Yeah. Because today, of course, we can explain it in different ways, as we always do. But today I went to this spinning class, very different one. I was dancing on the cycle, following the rhythm, umbilicum on the bicycle. It was pretty intense. I am dead, guys. I can't Anyways, so it was dark, candles, beautiful, amazing. We couldn't see anything apart feeling our energies. And I was truly connecting to my body, of course, my mind, body, and essence. And it's truly, for any practice we decide to follow, guys, is always about losing control, as you have to lose it. You have to lose the control that you are trying to control. Gaining consciousness, which is the true control. So we let go of all the things that are no longer serving us to gain consciousness. So control doesn't exist. It is the consciousness that we gain more than the control, but it's control because it's consciousness. So we are open.
That's brilliant. Maybe that's why they call it soul cycle.
Exactly, it was soul cycle. It's actually called like this, Sandy. Brava. It's
so
actually...
Okay, first of all, last week, I think it was last week, we talked about that Zen koan that says one must lose oneself in order to find oneself.
Yeah.
And Glenn, I know you have something to chime in about this. I will finish by saying, who is the football player who just yesterday or the day before announced that he was joining the Jets? Is it Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers.
Did you hear how he made the decision?
No.
I mean, how could anybody make the decision? I think I'm going to the Jets.
I know.
So he went into silent meditation for days. Darkness, silence, and he came out and he said, "Woo, I'm going to this is a true story." He had to lose himself to perhaps bring New Jersey back to the top of the world. Let's see. Let's see if this holds true. Yeah.
So beautiful. Love it.
Amazing.
Allora, we already...
So there's a question for you, Sandy, right there.
I didn't see it.
What if someone is afraid of losing control? How does he or she go on about doing so?
Well, let's look at losing control. They already don't have it. They're afraid to lose it. They already don't have it.
Yeah,
let's look at it this way. What you own owns you. Right? That's sort of just a way of looking at it. If people are afraid to lose control, they're holding on to something that's not real.
And also, yes.
Perfect answer.
It's not about controlling something outside of yourself. We control our own life as we want to control it because we care about our life. So more than control, we should say caring, because it's all about the attention you give. It's not controlling. We cannot control anything, not even our emotions, and we shouldn't.
That's interesting. We can go deeper into that. Glenn, I know you have many things to respond to right now. What I will say is, it is my promise at some point during this broadcast, I will give ways we can find true control. Okay, so that's coming, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, Glenn.
I think you said it perfect. You already don't have control. I couldn't think of a better way to say it. It's the illusion of control that we think we have, and it is, as we always say, like our clients that don't want to get hypnotized. They're afraid of losing control, and it's like you are in total control of the experience. Because if you stop listening, it's not going to work. You know, they always have control. But the bigger picture, I really like what you just said, Sandy. That was, I don't know how else to say it. That's perfect. You know, we don't have control already. It's
Right.
absolutely true.
Right. So there is a way to have true control, but it's not what people think. So when people are asking for control or afraid to lose control, they don't have, their definition of control is based on a false premise. So we first have to figure out what is control, which
We start, yeah, it's so true, guys, and we start controlling and we start having the illusion of control in the moment we get disappointed along our journey. So during our childhood, along we grow up, the more disappointed we are from families surrounding, the more control we want to have, because that's our kind of power that has to develop. And because we are disappointed, we want to control. It's typical.
Yeah, well, people are asking more questions about control. What do we do? Those are the right questions. Those are the right questions. And I know we're all going to throw stuff in there about it. Can I start with a story that has inspired me? And I'm deciding whether or not to do a podcast about it, because if I'm not in control of the people listening, they can be taken the wrong way. Right. Right. So I'm like debating, is it too controversial for a podcast? But let's do it here, because at least you guys will be my mirror, so we can make sure, and the people listening, watching now can comment. So then I'll feel safer to share this, that it's going to be received properly. Is that fair? Okay. I was at a birthday party recently, and a 10-year-old kid goes for, everybody already had cake. I'm talking to a dad, and his kid, I watched, dad sees me, I can see the kid, dad can't see the kid. Kid goes over and he's going to get seconds now on cake. Everybody's already done with the cake. And he gets the big, huge cake knife. And I'm like, child with knife. Okay, right? And he takes a plate and he puts it down. And he takes a napkin and he puts it down. He takes a fork and he puts it, he's all ready to go. And he slices through the cake. And he goes like this, whoo. And now he's balancing the cake on the very large knife. And I'm like, let's see if this goes well. And he gently, with the other hand, cake is in midair right now, sideways on the knife, picks up the plate. And just as he tips the knife for the cake to slide onto the plate, dad catches a whiff of this, turns around and points his finger and says, no. I was like, what? Right, so the kid, now here's what happened. The kid freezes in midair. The cake got scared too. It didn't slide. It all just froze in midair. So all that actually happened was dad said no. Kid said, Glenn, I know you have kids, okay? Ready for this? This is going to blow your mind. The kid said nothing. I was like, what?
It was
How?
terrified.
I'm like, kid says nothing. I'm like, I know that ain't my kid. Kid says nothing, tips the cake back, balanced on the knife. It never touched the plate, puts it back where it fits in the pie, in the cake pie thing, puts it all back. Dad turns back around and continues talking to me. Kid goes to table, reaches about 6 cookies, grabs them with both hands, sticks them in his both pockets, walks away. Talk about control. And here's one lesson of what to do, how control works and doesn't work. Dad used assertion. Another way to use the word assertion is force, right? Assertion can also be, when it's regarding food, assertion can be deprivation, removing, taking away the cake, whether you do it for yourself with your own diet or you're doing it to your child. So dad used force, assertion, deprivation, all the same thing. Are you guys with me on that so far? The kid has learned, that father taught that 10-year-old to lie. Dad did that. Dad taught the kid to lie for survival. Dad is using assertion, and I'm here to tell you there's a law called gravity. Nobody can work.
He gave the suggestion, of lying.
Gravity is a law, stuff goes down. That's it. You must drink water to live. That is a law. Okay? There is another law that says there is no such thing as assertion. Dad thinks he won. Won what? He taught his kid to be a liar. He's giving his kid food issues, a whole bunch of things. And now their communication can never be full, true, open, and honest. So who had control? Dad who said no and thought he won. Kid who stuffed cookies in his pocket. Neither one of them. Because those cookies are controlling that kid. He was going to find a way no matter what, like water finds its way around a corner. That kid was going to find a way. So when people come in, this is the last little bit about this. When people come in for weight loss and they say, I just want to eat whatever and not have to worry about it. And I say, no, you don't. Because what you just said is I still want food to have control over me. If you eat everything, that means food still has control over you. The only way you know you have true control is you don't have a cookie problem. You have, here's the answer. It's never a cookie problem. It's always an emotional problem. No, it's not really a problem, right? But it's your emotions. Because if you can control your emotions, you could control your cookies, you see? So true control, I'll give you it in one line, and then we can talk about more ways to do it. True control is control over your emotions. That's where we start.
Yes. I was about to say, in fact, that control is not power. Power is knowing why you're feeling, knowing you're inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
knowing
it's another way I say it. It's responding to your emotions instead of reacting to your emotions. You know, response, because we can't control what we feel sometimes. Like Francesca says, feel your feelings. They're all going to come in, and don't deny what you feel. But to react is not respond. To respond keeps the outside world from changing us.
Yes.
Making us so much,
Keep,
you know?
Yes. The situation's changing. So true. Beautiful.
So let's look at the equation of belief about control. It starts out as reacting, which is no good, and that's not true control.
Like the cake dad,
which is such a higher. Cake dad reacted. So did
cake dad.
Both of them.
Reacted. He didn't respond.
Yeah. So reacting is where often we start. No good. We evolve and we get to responding. When we evolve beyond responding, I call it acting. Right? Reacting bad, acting good. You're doing what it is you do want toward your own health, not against someone else. So responding still means someone has some power there. When you are acting, you're simply just being what you want to be, making the right choices, because true real freedom is freedom of choice. And when you're in emotional control, you've always made the right choice. Now, I know you guys said when you feel an emotion, that's real. I agree 100%. When you feel an emotion, that's real. In the moment you catch it, boom, there's that moment of achievement, and that space gives you empowerment to make a new choice, a response instead of a reaction.
Yeah.
Response instead of reactions, very true. Of course, we react to strong emotions that never have been felt before, that are new to us. If we are emotionally, of course, weaker than other times, we react badly. But it's important to understand that we are reacting. So to be conscious about the reaction. So then to transform it in response. Yeah.
Before changing your emotions, you must shift your relationship to it. Because emotions are the harder bit. And once you've done that, you're a master, right? So before you change your emotions, before you make a decision, how am I feeling? If it's positive, make your decision. If you're feeling anything less than positive, say, good for me. Here's true control. I'm recognizing I'm in a negative emotion. I'm not going to respond right now. I'm not going to react right now. When you can simply, I know you guys are frozen. Are we all frozen?
No.
No? Is everybody frozen?
No, I hope not.
I know, got a little connection stuff going on again.
I know, 3 weeks in a row with maybe it's on Instagram. Yeah. Instagram should charge $8 for blue checks, and they'd have more money to to make the service.
Exactly. Please, good service, Instagram. Thank you.
Listen to this, because if you're taking notes in your mind on what you can walk away, like this is a thing I took from the conversation, put it in my pocket, I can use it, it's this. You want true control? Check it before you respond to anything, before you react to anything. Check in, how do I feel? If it's negative, don't try to change it. Just simply don't make a decision. Only make a decision from a positive emotion. I had a client who...
Baby, you don't want to say hi? No. Okay, no.
I didn't
Sorry.
a client who said, I paid you. I'm like, you didn't. And yes, I did. No, you didn't. So it was like this weird, it became awkward. It became awkward. It was about money, and I hate that. So I realized as I'm walking down the street reading this email, you owe me sessions. No, I don't. Okay. So I'm checking the credit card. I don't really care. I ended up giving her 2 free sessions just to make sure I didn't get it wrong. But in the beginning, I'm reading this, you owe me a session. And I was like, I was so upset that our beautiful work was being tainted by a money conversation. I hate that. So I had to say to myself, don't respond right now. Don't respond right now. Don't prove to her how right you are by sending a screenshot of the credit card page. Don't do it. It's not going to go well for anyone. Wait till you calm down. And when I did, I think it was pretty good customer service. I finally just said, who cares? I'm not sending screenshots of payments. I just said, you think I owe you a session? Fine. All yours. Here we go. Let's have a great time. She's been with me for years now. Years.
Wow.
Years. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was in a negative emotion. So you have to stop. What would you guys say is the formula? You feel out of control. That's what people write. People are writing in and they say, if my life feels out of control, what do I do? What do you say?
Well, right before we jump on that, what you did is amazing. And just because somebody asks you a question, it doesn't mean you have to answer it. Just because somebody wants to talk about something, it doesn't mean you have to talk about it. We have the choice to say, let's do this later. Always. But somehow, and I see this
but not to leave it unsolved. Yeah, it's important to clear things. And if it's a relationship of the two or a group relationship, things must be communicated, even though some of them, they don't want to. Maybe not now, but one day, yes.
But you can leave things unresolved for a little while to get your perspective back.
You want to give it an exact time limit? Because I'll tell you exactly the time limit.
Too easy, and it's not truly fair even for the other people involved, because it's not a one-way relationship. If things have been put in together or have been energetically brought together by different people or by 2 people, everyone must agree.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in a disagreement with somebody and I'm doing what Glenn suggested, with which I agree, Glenn, and I say I'm sensing that I'm in a negative emotion. You deserve the best response. You deserve that much. And I deserve to feel good about this. I'm going to walk away. If at that moment that person says, you better, if you love me, if you love me, you will stay here right now. I won't even respond, because I've got plenty of responses to that. Yeah. But I won't even respond to that. Because if you're really going to own your space, you don't need their permission for you to own your space. That's where I literally just walk away.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't like that, Francesca?
No.
Say hi to Jen. Francesca doesn't like that.
This, I don't agree with you guys, because,
Really?
for example, let's talk about a deal of 2 people or 3 people, whatever. And terms were, in a way, the beginning, and then terms change just because it's convenient for one, okay?
Well, then don't make bad terms. Don't make bad terms. And in that moment, if you, Francesca, are in, you said 3 people, if you're in a throuple and your boyfriend and girlfriend, she said 2 or 3 people, so I'm like, all right, Francesca likes throuple. Fine. If you're in that moment and in the past you've trained them to treat you poorly, and now you're coming into your power and you recognize this doesn't feel good and they're demanding a response from you, that's where you can say with love and respect, I recognize that in the past, I've opened full permission for this communication to go down. You have every right to say that in the past, I've granted permission for this. I have. Right now, I'm feeling a shift. So I'm going to make a change and we'll make a new agreement.
Yeah, new agreement. I agree with you. So if the other one didn't work, but the agreement must be made also, because to focus in general on only emotional matters and not practical matters within relationship business, it's truly wrong, because then the emotions evolve and practical matters make also the reality of it. So it's very important to have both.
I think what you're saying is so important, Francesca. We've made these written or mostly unwritten agreements with people in our lives, all kinds of relationships. And then we feel like, well, this has been going on for a decade, so You get to be who you are in every moment, whatever feels best. And just make sure you don't make it the other person's fault.
Absolutely.
You can say, I recognize that I've communicated this way for 47 years, and now I'm feeling like this doesn't feel good. And I told you I would give you a time limit on how long it takes for what I call that wall of anxiety, that fire that goes off in you that throws you into negative emotion. The time it takes for that to all simmer down, do you know how long it takes? It's a scientific fact. When you're like at your heat point, how long it takes to calm down, generally, whatever.
Generally 48 hours.
48 hours? What do you say? What do you say, Glenn?
If you don't practice, we said only if you don't practice, if you don't make
it really depends. I could tap it.
Depends on the practice, it depends. But
I would think an hour.
An hour. So science shows that when people hit a boiling point, a high stress point, the time it takes to just bring it all back down, 20 minutes.
Okay.
But let's be fair.
It depends.
Because
Francesca gets 40. She gets 40 minutes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 40 hours because
from 1 minute to 48 hours, yeah.
What's not necessarily included in that equation, to be fair, is somebody like Francesca might boil and boil and boil and boil and boil. So the boiling doesn't end for 48 hours. So it's just continuing to boil, right? You have to sort of get to the end of the boil before the bubbles come down. So if you're just adding fire, you may not be so wrong. It might take some people 48 hours, but if you go and walk away from the walk away point, it's 20 minutes.
See that comment? It takes longer for Italians.
That's correct. That is correct. How do you spell Italians? I think it's aliens is what they wrote. It's aliens.
Well,
you're a boiling machine.
Benjamin knows me very well, actually, since a long time. And yes, he knows how passionate we are. She's a boiling machine.
Would you like to hear a study?
Benji, tell us more. Give us an example if you want.
You know, before we get, I definitely want to hear your next study. The other danger in that, when you take, people can use that cooling off period as a major form of manipulation. So if somebody's mad at you and they take that to the extreme, and instead of offering a moment of forgiveness or a moment of reconnecting to stay in that state, people use that a lot as a weapon, and that is also a very low emotion to carry. So you never want to carry your anger too long, and you don't want to use it as manipulation towards the other person, but so many people do.
You're absolutely right.
Mostly love is so true. I can see so many examples. But of course, it's not truly visible manipulation. That's the best part of it. And we shouldn't, of course, forget about it. Many people manipulate in a bad way, don't even recognize it.
Manipulation is assertion.
Yeah.
It cannot hold a space for transformation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so
Same time.
And from our Jackie, the problem is, Jackie, there's nothing you can do. She said, how do you deal with someone who doesn't want to leave an abusive relationship? I've tried everything. I'm done helping at this point because he never listens. Yeah. It's like trying to make an addict quit. Until they're ready, you can't do anything. They have to go through their process. You can hold space and be a friend. Just don't let yourself get too caught up in it. You know, it's their choice. You can only feel sympathy so long for someone if they're not willing to do something different to change it.
And those people who are trying to assert someone out of a drug problem, out of a big problem into seeing the light, right? People who are trying to force it, that is a form of abuse on the part of the person who's trying to fix the other one. The need to be right is an act of violence. And those aren't my words, that's Eckhart Tolle. The need to be right is an act of violence.
Sometimes
because
we want to bring the truth into the open, as when there is lack of communication, Sandy, there are many cases, in fact. I think we can generalize, but of course we have to express what we think, but there are so many situations. So if there is lack of communication, forcing it is not an abuse of violence. because truth must come out. So it's very important to understand that many women within couple situations, within this couple therapies I'm doing, we recognize how they force it. They force the truth because they want to know, to advance spiritually, physically, within the relationship. So forcing is not necessarily an act of violence, in my opinion. It depends, of course, how you say it, but of course, if there is lack of communication, it's normal to say it aggressively. I totally justify these women that are struggling within this relationship where the man pretends to be the man, but doesn't even know how to communicate what's the problem underneath. This is absurd.
Forcing the truth is the need to be right. And I don't find that to be effective communication ever.
No.
You can stand in your truth. You can stand in
lack of communication, Sandy, of course, if you are with your partner, not with your client, it's very difficult to be so detached from your emotions and not to force it sometimes. And the other party, I believe, should also be open, feeling all these feelings of struggle as that's true chemistry, in my opinion.
So if you were my client, I would say to you, Francesca, what you're expressing to me is when you feel a deep negative emotion, that is going to be deep, heavy, lingering. And I would say to you, don't even start with trying to change the emotion. But let's just start recognizing when you're there, because when you're there, that's the time you say to yourself, I'm not going to make that move. I'm not going to make that decision. So all you need to do is recognize it, and it puts you in true control. For someone who's done that for a little while and they get pretty good at it, then we take it to the next step and we say, okay, when you recognize your negative emotion, that's real. And in that place, if you can find the question in your mind to say, what would I prefer to feel? You don't even have to find the answer, just the question. And usually the answer will be something like, I don't know, relief. And if you can just get that far, now you've evolved. And eventually you can do what Glenn was talking about, is when he recognizes his negative emotion, he steps away, his technique is to do some tapping, and that will take him, that is a method of going from a negative to a positive. So you can get there, but not on step one.
Yeah.
So practice step one.
From fight or flight is never good. When we're in fight or flight, we don't make life decisions, or any decisions really, until that passes.
What did Jackie say?
Also, because in most cases, when someone is forcing the other one for the truth to come out, is most likely has been the same in the other way around, as if someone is finding himself or herself in a situation that has been forced initially, okay, and then it's totally normal to force the truth of why things are happening, because at the end it's an exchange of energy. So if you start a deal or a relationship forcing it, then you can expect the same from the other side. I believe the exchange of energy comes back no matter what.
I love what you said in the beginning of this, because we did only look at it from one side. We looked at it as, if somebody's forcing you to, you better answer. If you love me, you're going to stay here and fight with me right now.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how you can find your space, right? But from the flip side, if you're the one saying, if you love me, you better do this. If you're the one doing that, think about, you just gave your power to the other person. What you're saying is, I can't know how to feel until you give me what I need right now. And so I want that's going to be the person in the conversation saying, I'm going to feel good no matter what you do.
Exactly like that. No, the thing is that, no, it's not a matter of needs. It's a matter of a respect for the energy. As truly, this exchange of forcing, then if someone doesn't stop and the truth doesn't come out, it's very difficult to handle.
Yeah. So
I understand.
And
I love what you said. It's so true.
Did you read? I read the last of Jackie's question.
Can you start
so Jackie,
with all of Jackie's? It was a lot of words. I didn't catch it all.
It's a lot. But I'll answer it in one. So mom and dad have some issues. Mom's got maybe some mental health, need for medication. And the dance between mom and dad is very unhealthy. So here's the deal, Jackie. Our parents are our parents. It's not reverse. You are not your parents' parents, right? But it's very, very natural for us to, as we get a little bit older and we see the dysfunction in our parents' relationship, to want to become their parents. You cannot be their parents. And it's not your job to fix their relationship. You can love mom, you can love dad, and yes, it's a very powerless feeling, and it's a very helpless feeling. They have their own thing. The great thing is you can make your own choices now. Your dad can make his own choices, and you got to let him. Don't try to parent your dad. It doesn't work, as you are finding out.
Also,
You know what you said? It made me think of a really good quote.
with you, Glenn.
I know,
Tell me.
Francesca, you like the meme. Glenn, you said, don't try to parent your dad. But what I heard was, don't try to parrot your dad. And I thought, that's so perfect in both ways. Don't fix him and don't be him either. Don't parent your dad. Don't parrot your dad. That's good. That's good.
It's
Also,
true that
there's always power struggle within children and parents, as of course they want to be the parents. So every time you expose something that is truly not close to their mindset, they will always feel the struggle of power and they will go against you. So I've been learning to live my life without any communication to my parents.
Let me give you an example of maybe something that will make this easier for everyone watching or listening who sees someone in your life who they really need some help, and no matter what you do, they're not listening and they're getting worse. When you're in the position of wishing you can help but nothing is working, think about this. Let's pretend you believe in past lives. Just pretend for a moment. And in a particular life, somebody was a terrible tyrant and they killed people and they stole things and they burned cities down. They were a terrible person. And then they die, and then they go to the afterlife, and then they're all pure again, and they say with their little council of angels, okay, how do I evolve from this? How about in the next life, I'll go in and I'll get my stuff stolen and my house burned down and I'll lose a few limbs and nobody will want to be my friend. Okay, great, let's do it. And that's a great idea. So he's born again and he goes into a new life. And here he is in the welfare line, only one leg and 2 half arms, okay? And he's like hunched over and he can't afford like a thing to help him walk or stand upright. And so people come and they see him and they feel badly for him, and they give him some extra free limbs, and they give him a walker, and then they send him to Daddy Warbucks and say, now you're gonna live on Park Avenue. We picked you up and we're here to help you. And in that regard, they're actually working against that person's evolution. They're forcing and asserting their will on someone who came here to learn a particular lesson. We can't know, that's an extreme story. We can't know what somebody's life path is, but what we can always do is just see them for their light. And if somebody falls down and you're there, pick them up. And if somebody needs money and it feels great for you to give them money, go for it. All those things are in play, but you never owe you. You never owe you to anyone. If it's your pleasure to do so, that's fine, but check in with your emotion. Why am I helping? Because you're not their source. You are not their source. Everybody has their own, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you were saying that, I was thinking about how people that have certain life challenges, physical challenges, that the people I've met don't want to be felt sorry for. If someone has what we would call a handicap, or they have something that makes their life more challenging, they don't want you to feel sorry for them, but which is such a different message than we're getting in our world right now, because it's almost like everybody who's the squeaky wheel in this media world wants nothing but sympathy. You know, sympathy for how I choose to live my life, sympathy for the color of my skin, sympathy for where I was born. It's like, no, you know, you talk to somebody that has real physical challenges that cannot be fixed. They don't want sympathy. They want support. Big difference in the mindset of our world, you know? So how do we support people without feeling sympathy? Or, you know,
right,
you don't,
because they feel that. It's like seeing their dripping illness instead of the light within them. And it's not how we help
this
anyone.
world is screaming right now for sympathy, feel sorry for me, sorry for me.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about that when you were telling that story, you know? If we're going to shift the world back.
Francesca, you had something to say about that.
Yes. that when I do these group sessions, by the way, I have a question for you, let's see if we have the same answer, all of us. But when I do my group sessions, I truly see how people force others, of course, as a supportive energies to feel happy. There are many depressed people, of course, that's why they join the circle, because of a loss, because of a lack of security. And many people say, don't worry, be happy, stay with me, be happy. There is nothing worse than telling someone sad to be happy. Maybe we said it already, I remember, but it's nice to remember it. And so, yeah, it's an example, as you said, guys. So why do people prefer, in your opinion, group session instead of individual sessions one-to-one? What's the difference for people, in your opinion? Why many people, they try both and they prefer one instead of the other one?
I think it's two different experiences. There's something very nice when I lead a group. There becomes a higher energy that happens when you have, there's that old saying, when two or more are gathered in his name. So there is more energy, there is more of a maybe intention. And obviously both are necessary. You need those one-on-one times, but I feel like in certain things, there's sharing that happens in a group. When you hear your story in somebody else's words, that's so healing. That's my thought on that.
Amazing. And you, Sandy, then I will tell you what a person said.
Everything Glenn said. Yeah, yeah. The energy, which is why we will fly across the world to see live music when we could watch the recording of it. There is an energy about being together, and when it's a healing setting, everything you said, it's community. I think there might be another element to the group thing, which is people are sort of off the hook for having to be on the hook.
Yeah, exactly.
Like one-on-one, exactly, you're right. Like on the hook, so it's safer in that regard.
Yes. It's like when I played with a band, I had 4 other guys to share the stage with, and I wasn't on the hook. When I do a stage show, it's only the hook. It's all me.
Right. You're the hook.
You're on the hook. So yeah, being off the hook and being able to just experience something in a safer way,
Yeah, well, that's the positive part of it. Unfortunately, there's also a dark side that people have that, of course, thank God exposed to me, and I asked and I can say it. People selfishly understand that they want to lose the responsibilities of their problems listening to others. So there is a person that comes often to the group sessions I do and told me, Franci, to be honest, I feel so heavy for my problems that I feel so good to listen to others' problems. So it's also, unfortunately, a selfish reaction to the problem. So of course, someone, for example, that is very rich but very poor inside is very happy when he's surrounded by poor people and he feels, his ego is boosted. Of course, not someone good inside. We're talking about, even in Brazil, I talk to these people, to the favelas, and it's full of these people, super rich. They go there and they're basically super mean to them. Anyways, so there are many selfish reasons for people to be in this environment, which is very sad in my opinion, but truly understandable, as you recognize that everyone is going through the same problems in different ways, and so you lose the responsibility of your problems. That's not the way we should react to these practices.
Right, when we see somebody doing worse than we are, we feel better about ourselves, is what you're saying.
Well,
human nature, yeah.
Yeah.
An unhealthy person feels that.
All right. Well, no, so everybody does. Everybody does.
Since then, this person is allowed to give advices to every person struggling in the group. So every time he comes, of course, he's a friend. So every time he comes, I ask him to give advices to any person struggling, how he should do it. And actually, it's very wise. So I wonder, it's incredible how many shades and personalities we have within us.
Oh, absolutely. So remember earlier, Glenn was saying how if you see someone who is physically less able than someone else, how if you ask most people in a situation like that, they'll say, please don't feel sorry for me, my God, right? Yeah. I can give you a true personal embarrassing story where that happened to me. to me. This is a long time ago, decades and decades ago. I had just discovered that I was gay, right? So I didn't know how to ask out a girl. I still don't. Thank God I haven't had to do it too many times. I've had a lot of long relationships. But so I don't know, maybe 26, and I'm on the PATH train from New Jersey into the city. And if you've ever been on the PATH train, this will make sense to you. Hoboken. Next stop, Hoboken.
And how,
right? So
how
coming
is Hoboken nice? I got to pause you there. Hoboken, Francesca, was the most disgusting armpit of a city. Hoboken was wretched, right? The most just gross. Now it's this metropolitan, expensive area, and I still don't believe it.
In Hoboken is 1 square mile. It's on the water. I watched the planes hit the towers standing on the water in Hoboken.
Yeah.
Because I was living there.
Yeah, I still don't believe it. And Hoboken will always be the old Hoboken to me. But anyhow, that's an East
It's
Coast.
a little bit bougie now, but it's 1 square mile on the water looking at New York City. And now there are more pizza places than parking spaces in Hoboken. Another thing, I think baseball was invented in Hoboken, and I'm pretty sure Frank Sinatra is from Hoboken. So now we know. Now we know everything we need to know.
Still Hoboken. I don't care. Go on. All right.
So I was living in Hoboken, and I was on the PATH train to Madison Square Garden. I was going to work at the radio station there, and so the only two people on the train, it was me, and then like far down in the train was only one other young woman about my age, really pretty, long blonde hair. And I was like, wow, she's pretty. I mean, I've never asked out a girl before, but I mean, I should try it, right? So I go over to her, and we're the only two people on the train. I go over to her, I was like, hi, you're so pretty. And I just wanted to tell you that, I thought you're so pretty. And inside I'm like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Oh my God. How do you ask out a girl? I still can't tell you how to ask out a girl. So I said, wow, gosh, you're so pretty. And she said, oh, thank you. She was very sweet. And I was like, okay, here goes nothing. Glenn, I feel so bad for you because you guys have to do this all the time. I was like, all right, here goes nothing. I was like, look, I don't know if you date women, but if you do. And she's like, oh, and I'm like, oh shit. Oh crap. No, end it now. And she's like, oh, aren't you sweet? And you're so pretty too. I'm just not gay. I'm like, it's okay. We're done. We're good. She's like, oh, are you going to meet some friends in the city?
This is my business.
Right. So, but that's what you're talking about is when we see somebody as like having less than somehow or whatever, it's like this over, and I'm like, no, I'm good. We're good. Never mind.
I think that's I don't understand. It's thriving on sympathy is such a victim mindset. And it's not a good place to be. But Sandy, I think about that. Like, how do you know if you're like, I like that girl, I wonder if she likes girls? How do you know?
That kind of story happened to me like 17 times until I just quit. I just quit.
I would think
I had to wait to be asked out. And I was asked out by a supermodel. Like I'd say up there with the looks of Francesca, like that hot. Yeah, true. So I was like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. You just wait. You just wait.
I think in any case, love is universal. And to define lesbian, non-lesbian, gay, it's a matter of how deeply you can love someone. I think you cannot decide which gender you love. You just fell in love in life. That's what I believe.
Yeah. It's more, I think it's still, even in today's world, more, because back then it was still sort of bad to be gay. But even in today's world, I think it's tougher on guys in both situations, guys who ask out girls, but especially for guys who like guys, I think it's even harder, honestly, because, somehow society still sees it. Yeah.
Also, these bad experiences happening around, of course, they don't motivate to fall in love. That's for sure.
Yeah. So what else do we have to say about control? Because it was such a great topic to bring up. What did we learn? What else can we learn about how to really get true control of our lives?
I believe one technique I use to lose my control is to focus on my senses. And of course, senses combined with the five elements of life. Why everyone loves so much going to the countryside, even doing nothing, just with the chimney, the wind, the breeze, the connection, because when we lose control. And for people that are so freak about control, as I used to be also in the past, I loved control, maybe because of the example I gave you, that's why it's my experience. I believe it's very important to activate and feel your senses.
That's amazing. That's what we do, that's how we hypnotize people, is have them focus. True control is focus. You're absolutely right. And so you're saying one thing you can focus on is your senses. You'll never get bored doing that. Focus, absolutely. True control is where you put your attention and feeling for your physical body, seeing what you see, hearing what you hear. Something I often give clients is, right now you can do it. If you imagine a clock is around you, so 12 o'clock is in front of you, 6 o'clock is behind you. If you just now use your eyes and focus at just what's at 12 o'clock, that's going to put you in control of your emotions pretty quickly. And then you zoom it out to only seeing what's between 11 and 1. Okay. Now we don't have to play the game right now, but if you do this on your own, it's really powerful, because if you can just see between 9 and 6, no, I'm sorry, 9 and 3, your ears are 9 and 3 on the clock. People think they can't see that, but they actually can. And they think there's no way I could see past the ears, but like 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock, you can actually see past your ears. But then when you zoom back to between 11 and 1, you can't even see what's on the side of your ears anymore. So if you play with your senses, because then you can do it with sound and smell, right? Yeah. You can listen for things that, right? So
you can become creative, you announce your creativity skills, you announce your sexiness within, you start becoming more sensual, because you feel more as you are practicing sensorial experiences. And you can truly do it with your boyfriend at home, to go to a fun instead of watching the TV every day. Or you can do it with friends instead of drinking alcohol, getting wasted. It's a way of being creative together. Activating senses, you can do it in so many ways, in a playful way, in a deep way, sexy way, more like yeah, intellectual way, because then you can also study the fragrances, you can blindfold each other or others, and they can guess the fragrance to see if they're truly awakened within. It's an amazing way to spend time together.
Oh my God, and if somebody's yelling at you, you can let them yell, and you can go in and think, how do I feel sexy right now? How do I feel sexy right now?
That's smell for you.
Hi to India. India's saying hi. What about you, Glenn?
Well, think about that. The measure of control, it's kind of like a car you can never catch up to. It's like something because you know people, then when they get to the point where they're like, I can't do this anymore, I'm surrendering, I'm giving up control, right? And that's because they've tried to hold on to that illusion of control too long, but then they want it back right again. So it's like the control roller coaster is what it is. Because we've all been around people that life has beaten them down so much, they finally surrender, and that's when they start their healing journey. And all the time, their life was so far out of control. They think they're in control. It's like you were.
Exactly. That's so true.
You were so far out of control, thinking you were in control, that you finally surrendered because it beat you down enough to the point of,
yes.
You're done.
Because when you look at how people are defining control, they believe they're supposed to control the conditions, the people around them, the circumstances around them. If I could just keep this all in place, my life is good. But they're completely out of control. That's controlling them. They keep doing this and they're not seeing the rest of the world. If we have a belief in controlling conditions, people, and circumstances, we have a false belief of control. There is no control. The only thing you can ever control is you within it. You make yourself the eye of the storm can go on all day long. You're always fine. And if you accidentally poke a part of you into the storm, come back. That control is being able to come back. By the way, Ben asked if I really did ask out. Thank you. Ben asked if I really did ask out a random girl on the train. Hand to God, that is a true story. Yeah, it was awful. It was awful.
That's
I will never do
amazing.
that again. Yes, I will.
Exactly. Stop, dear friends, to think you have control while you're actually being controlled. So, we have a request. Maybe a bit late. Is an Indian friend. Okay, for sure, we will have problem of connection, actually, guys, because of 10 minutes are left. Maybe we can see what he has to say. If he's gonna go join us live.
Free.
Our C.Ht.
Oh.
All right. It was a quick hi from nature.
Oh, you want to do a joke? All right, look, I'm putting my arms out like this, right? You can only see sort of half an arm. Putting my arms out like this. So who wants to do this with me? Francesca,
Let's
keep your arms out. Ready? Now, I don't know if you're going to get this because this is like playing with the English language, so I'm going to give you a pass. But, okay, so arms like that, right? Now, you know what I mean by the word syllable,
yeah.
right? Like the parts of the word. Okay, so arms out like this. And you know the word geometry, which is a kind of math? Yeah, geometry. Can you break it down into syllables with your arms out and say it slowly? The word geometry. Put your arms out.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Say the word geometry, but one syllable at a time.
Geometry.
Yeah, see, it doesn't translate. It's a thing I play with kids, and they say G, tree.
Oh, when you said break it down one syllable at a time,
I knew it.
I misunderstood that too. Actually, I didn't get that. You
want to hear my other kid joke of the week? Here's my other kid joke of the week. My son comes to me. He just turned 12. He comes to me. He says, "Mom, guess what? You don't need a parachute to jump out of an airplane. You just need a parachute to jump out of an airplane twice."
That's funny.
Or just in case something happens, you have the second one.
Jackie's laughing at the geometry joke.
Yeah, that one's good. That one's good. You know that I'm Sofa King, Todd did? That one?
Sofa King,
Yeah.
Todd did.
Yeah, it's
that's
not
bad. It's old. It's from the 70s. It's bad. Don't say it.
I know. It just reminded me of that.
Mm-hmm.
But good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then we'll have to dive in. What did you see?
I want to know you, Glenn. You are world famous and amazing, and we must point out two things that you've been doing. One, your training series. Is it over yet?
It is done. I'm going to have the final button on it uploaded today, then have it officially out marketed for sale. So yeah.
So next week or two.
Next night or two.
Next night or two.
Yeah.
You can take Glenn's training series on demand. Do it. This guy's a master. And the other thing is I just saw you on a new YouTube show. Can you tell us about it?
I love it. I love this video.
Yes,
He was
yes.
so good. He was so good.
Yeah. Even them, they're very good.
It was on Good Mythical Morning with Rhett and Link. They're depending where you are, they have 18 million subscribers on their channel, on their YouTube channel. So they're bigger. They get more viewers than TV talk shows do. And they brought me back for just a fun little thing. I hypnotized them a couple of years ago. And they brought me back for just a little fun segment. And that was really fun. So that one's out. I have it on. I'll have that on my site too. But it's out there spreading across the world. And it was really fun. It was really fun to be out there.
Watch it, so much fun. Yeah.
You're right, Jackie. I mean, most people know that they've been around for so long. And they do 5 shows. They have a whole their production studio. They must have 20 employees working there. It's crazy how big the whole scenario is.
And just to give you credit, Glenn, I heard of you before I ever heard of Good Mythical Morning. I only heard of the show because of you.
Oh,
so you're helping them out.
Well, they got a little bit bigger following than I do, just a little, but
so far, just wait and see.
But yes, it was awesome.
Francesca, what do you have going on?
Well, I'm planning to reach in Ibiza and in UK. A friend of mine, which is the boyfriend of my sister, gave me amazing suggestions for amazing locations that are lost in time, really, and they're quite magical. So I think I will do a few retreats. I'm very good at it also. I'm an amazing host, and I'm a very good connector. And when I did this retreat with only women, I have to say it was very powerful. So powerful that I didn't want to do it again because it was too intense to handle, as it was my first spiritual retreat, not for fun, but for patterns and internal purposes. But I will do it in a more funny way, also involving friends, so it's going to be interesting.
Now, you say it's involving friends, but people watching and listening, can they sign up for your retreats or no?
Yeah, but I love doing things in private, to be honest, Sandy. I don't like commercial at all. I don't like to commercialize stuff, but of course we need to do it for the power of things, as they have power. But me, I don't want to.
Okay, so it's not like somebody can just go to your Instagram or a certain website and learn how to.
I will choose who to bring.
Okay.
This time.
All right, good.
Yeah. But of course, guys, always in if you want it. Always, I don't have to say anything.
But we're invited. We're invited. We've still never. None of us have met in person yet.
I know. See,
eventually.
And of course, I'm planning to convince few people to be our guests because there are amazing stories to be shared that I don't find nice to share myself. So I'm trying to convince people to wear a mask or to avoid being shy to come live with us, because there are amazing stories that must be shared, amazing in terms of intensity and awareness. As yeah, I truly believe they're incredible. But we will see if it's possible. And then what I'm planning is also to enjoy my summer, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Well, I gotta hop off to go to my next group. An hour went by like that. So we will see all of you.
Well, do you, Sandy, let's talk about what's coming up next live. Yeah, for you guys. For you, Sandy, also.
Oh. Yeah, no, nothing. I've got my
Not yet.
I'll tell you this and then we'll hang up. I just yesterday recorded a podcast. It'll be out in about 3 weeks. It'll be episode 20. And it's about how to control your own success with one word. So, Rockstar Change Making Podcast.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Bye. Ciao.